Hello, my name is Petrina Sharp and I'm your host for today's segment of Our Ventura TV. Today we have with us our guest Donna. Her name is Donna Granata and she is going to be talking to us about Focus on the Masters. Hello, Donna.
Hello, Petrina. Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Good. Well, tell me about Focus on the Masters. What is it?
Well, it's a nonprofit organization I founded in my living room almost 18 years ago, which is quite amazing. I think about that date and how far we've come in the 18 years and how many artists we've documented. And what we do is we document artists who are accomplished and we archive them. And the archive includes extensive information about their work and their development as an artist. We have oral histories, videotape biographies, digitized work samples, a library of their work, publications, ephemera of all types. And we're a library and archive.
How did you, I mean, that is so cool. How did you come upon this idea?
Well, it came out of a tremendous amount of adversity, actually. I had just graduated from college. I attended Brooks Institute of Photography. I'm a practicing artist myself as a photographer. And I was waiting tables to pay back student loans, like so many students do and graduates. And I fell down a flight of stairs, actually, and was convalescing for over a year. And in that 1 year period, I had to, really kind of take stock. And, I was like any Brooks student, ready to take on the world, and I was working in advertising at the time. And all of a sudden, my whole life came to a screeching halt. And in that time, I realized, aside from money, if money was out of the equation, what would I really love to do? And my passion was always in the arts, and I was a painter myself, and I just felt that if I could get past this dark period and just concentrate on my passion, it would be to be engaged with artists and to document them. And so that's what I did. And I brought on a bunch of friends who helped, who later became board members. We eventually applied for our nonprofit charter, and we're off and running.
Wow.
I know, it's one of those amazing stories.
That will dream come true, right?
Well, yeah, but it's funny, when it was in its infancy, it was more passion driven. And certainly as the organization has matured, we serve, so many people and also the community, and we have outreach programs where we go into the schools, and our programming has morphed over the years to better serve the community and help our community understand the importance of the arts and truly leading historians to these amazing people and providing a path for historians to follow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how do you select an artist to document?
That's a great question. A lot of people ask that. And we only select 10 artists per year, and we collect nominations throughout the year. So people will say, oh, are you aware of this artist? They're doing amazing things and their story is so amazing. And so we will make a note of that artist, and we start a file right away when we hear of artists, and we keep track of as many artists as we can. And then when we make our call for nominations, we send out a call to all of our museum community, curators, directors, and people who are working in galleries and so forth, who are very knowledgeable. And they send us all these amazing names and links to their websites and beautiful proposals. And often these proposals include their biography that goes in depth and talks about some of the challenges some of these artists may have had and overcome. And then we select 10, 5 women and 5 men through a panel selection, a jury of peers. And then those 10, we tried to select diverse artists and diverse expression. So we'll select a painter, a photographer, a sculptor, a craftsperson, maybe a weaver. Different types of artistic expression is just as important as cultural diversity and gender diversity. So we try to really diversify those 10 artists, and then we present these artists to the public as part of our documentation. We interview them once a month. Our host site this year is the Comedy Club, and so we record a biography and an interview in front of a live audience, so the public gets to participate in the documentation process.
Wow.
Yes.
That's kind of put you on the spot, but you know, I can see how it makes it more interactive with the community too.
It does indeed, and the artists, most artists aren't real comfortable in this kind of format, and so, excuse me, we try to prepare them and make them feel a lot more comfortable by the time they take the stage. So prior to the public interview, I do a series of oral histories that can be 3 hours to 20 hours worth of recordings. And so I will ask them questions going all the way back to where they were born, stories about their childhood, their development as an artist, and so forth. And by the time we get to the public interview, they've already gone through all of the oral histories and the documentation of their work. We record one entry just on the visuals, so we will talk in depth about their art objects. So by the time they take the stage, they know that there isn't a question they haven't answered.
Right.
There is no surprise journalism or gotcha journalism, and they eventually become a lot more comfortable in the recording process. And the beauty of these public interviews is the artists bring original work, and so there is these incredible installations of artwork. And in some cases, if an artist is a performance artist, they may do a performance. If they're a musician, they will perform, for example. One of our artists, Tom Jenkins, that we just documented, not only is he a fabulous painter, but he's also a top maker, and he spun tops, which was really amazing to see. And in fact, they were stone tops. They were made out of stone. So they're always very interesting and very engaging with the community.
Wow. So, how would you say the archives are even more beneficial to the immediate community?
Well, often the public will recognize an artist's work, but they may not recognize an artist's face. Or understand what it took to create that body of work, or why an artist would paint that way or sculpt that way, and what life's experiences contributed to their artistic contribution to the world. And so above and beyond the archive, which is this amazing library that is accessible to archivists, scholars, curators, directors, historians, we help the community really understand the creative process and realize how valuable that is. We have artists who have overcome amazing challenges and are able to not only create these art objects that they could otherwise not communicate through their experiences verbally, right. But visually. And artists are visual historians, and you know, great societies have always cherished artists. In American society, that is more of a challenge compared to, say, Europe. And so every single month when we present these amazing artists, they may be names that the community may not recognize, and we've built up such a reputation that people come just to learn who this person is, what their contribution is to the history of art and American art, and to be inspired. So in that sense, for the community, it's tremendously valuable. And then from these amazing stories, we create art projects and go into the schools.
That was my next question.
Yes, and we teach about these amazing people. And so we'll create art projects that are cross-curricular, so we meet the curriculum standards. And then the art lessons are sequential. So they're 8 weeks, once a week, and we keep building up more complex art projects, all the while teaching about the amazing artists who live and work within our own community. So instead of an artist being an abstract figure from a history book, right. they're living, breathing neighbors, and the children will see their artwork in town, or read about them in the newspaper, or you know, realize that there's artists in our community who once lived here who have photographed people who were characters in the Grapes of Wrath, for example. Horace Bristol is one of the artists in our archive. So when a 9th grader is assigned to read the Grapes of Wrath, and we come in with these amazing photographs of the actual people that inspired the characters, it creates a passion for learning.
Right.
And that's really something I feel very passionate about.
Well, it makes it more real, right?
It does.
It just kind of brings it to life.
It does, and it lights that little spark where a child or a student will want to learn and realize that, wow, this is home, this is my neighbor, or this was a person who lived and worked right in our own community. And it makes learning more tangible and accessible. Right. Instead of just, you know, learning to solve a test or to score highly on a test. It lights that fuel that is kindling, and hopefully it'll explode in a passion for learning.
Well, and what goes with that is that, you know, our educational system has kind of shrunken the arts, which is the wrong thing to do.
Exactly.
Because societies are built from art and the visions of artists. So it's really great that you have decided to do this and bring the arts back. Yes. And really make it real for those kids and people in the community that, hey, they're here, you know, they're alive now.
And it's so important. You know, when you think about children, and especially children with learning disabilities, you know, the statistics are going up with ADD and autistic children and so forth. Oftentimes the arts are the only way to get through to these kids and help them accomplish a goal. Right. And realize that art making is not just fun, but teachers realize, for example, that it's problem-solving skills. Every artist who faces a blank canvas or a raw piece of stone has to figure out how to complete that art object. Right. Well, children, when you give them materials, all of a sudden they're looking at paper and they're cutting shapes, and one of our assignments is to make a three-dimensional object out of a sheet of paper. Wow. Well, you know, that can light the spark to an engineer. You know, it's three-dimensional design, architecture, all kinds of things. And so just giving those seeds and planting those seeds in those beautiful little minds through the arts often find their way to helping them learn in their other subjects. You know, we have lots of examples like that. You know, endangered species is another great topic where
we're about out of time.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
But if there's a summating message that you would like to give.
Well, I would love for people to get more involved in our program. Focus on the Masters is primarily volunteer-based. Okay. And we have a beautiful website, FocusOnTheMasters.com. And you can call our offices, which is 805-653-2501. And we not only need volunteers, we would love people to possibly come on board and help us get more residencies in the schools. I know there's a lot of parents out there who would love to have arts education in their child's school and may not know how to go about it. They give us a call, we can help them with that.
Wow, that's really, that's wonderful. It kind of touches my own heart to know that that's going on, because I'm an artist too. But thank you again so much for coming in and talking with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. Thank you for visiting us today. And I am your host, Petrina Sharp, and this has been Our Ventura TV.